This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to call the regular January 3rd, 2022 meeting to order at 7 p.m. Meeting called to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay. If not, would anyone like to make a motion to accept the agenda written? Right, motion's made, so moved. Is there a second? Second. Councilor Norman, I'll just call the roll. Place of Stephanie. So.
Okay.
Councilor Ash?
Aye.
Councilor Norman?
Aye.
Councilor Allen?
Aye.
Councilor Webb?
Aye.
Mayor Hobart says aye. Motion carried. Are there any presentations tonight? Okay. I'll move right into my mayor's report. I would like to open up my mayor's report with wishing everyone a happy new year, 2022. I know that 2021 was a very challenging year for many of us, if not all of us, actually. Our schools, places of worship, our small businesses, and the way in which we conduct our own city business has been impacted in one way or another. We now have two fairly new council members who have filled the vacant seats from last year and are now sworn into office and are ready to serve on this city council. As we begin this new year, there are several things we can do as a council that will help us to be productive and to best represent the citizens of Vernonia. I think one of the most important things we can do is to be prepared for every meeting and workshop and make sure that if we have any questions or concerns, they be addressed to either myself, the city administrator, or city recorder. Most of those questions that would come to me, I'd probably refer you to the city administrator. This method serves not only in gaining an understanding of current issues and projects, but it also is a great way to build relationships which I think is the key to maintaining a healthy, safe, and good working community. I also believe it is important to periodically review our city charter and council rules. In fact, I think I was in my first term almost more than a year, and we were discussing the council rules, and one of the rules that stuck out to me that I hadn't been participating in for a whole year almost was my relationship with the city administrator and my meeting with her weekly. So for the last almost 2 years now, we've been doing that every week prior to the meetings, which has really helped. So those rules are a good thing to have a good working relationship, not only among ourselves, but to comply with the organ ethics and our relationship with the staff as well. I don't have an abundance of political experience. In fact, I am entering in only my 4th year serving as mayor, but it has been my lifelong experience that things work best when we are respectful and civil to all people, even if we disagree or hold different viewpoints and beliefs. It is my wish that we move forward together with a willingness to listen and be open to what lies ahead in this new year. There are many unknowns looking ahead, especially with the rapid spread of the latest COVID strain. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I don't. I don't want to talk here tonight about vaccinations and masks, but I will make a very simple statement that I think everyone understands. If you are feeling ill and are sick, please stay home. That's all I have for my mayor report. Thank you. Okay, are there any council committee meeting reports?
No.
Okay.
I
Dale,
kind of have one, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Dale, go ahead.
I'd met or talked to George before the Public Works Committee meeting and was trying to get a feel what they were going to talk about. And he was having some problems with his agenda on his computer, but, and then I came down sick over the weekend there. So that's, I couldn't attend the meeting. So, but they did meet as far as I know.
Okay. Thank you, Dale.
Yep.
Any topics from the floor tonight? Like we have one. Dennis, you want to come to the dais and state your name and address and your concern?
Great. Dennis Willer, 1122 Weed Avenue. And I come this evening with concern with the sewage problem on Weed Avenue. And it's been an ongoing problem since, most of you know, especially Josette probably, that it's been a problem for the last, in my place, at least 15 years. Somewhere about 10 to 15 years ago, the sewer actually backed up into my house, created quite a mess. And that wasn't a good outcome with the city. Some of you know that I ended up having to bear responsibility. It started that the city contacted the insurance company. The insurance company sent out a contractor. They came out, they tore out the whole, what needed to be tore out, what got damaged. And that very evening, the contractor called me and said, sorry, I've been told to stop work. And I literally said, you are joking, right? He said, no, I've been told to stop work. Long story short, I ended up getting an attorney to combat the problem. And basically through all that, it became just a wash in getting my house restored and paying off the attorney fees. Okay, so this has been a problem. It arisen again this morning. Jason has since built a house in the same area as I live. And actually his address is 1066 Weed Avenue. He woke up this morning, called me and said, Dad, have you checked your clean out? Because it's backing up in my clean out and it's actually backing up into my bathtub already. So we got sewage backing up. So typically when that happens, the manhole right across from us, across the old railroad grade, it's fused and you get sewer running everywhere. I got sewage down in my field, which approximately, I'm going to say probably 3 acres is covered in sewage now. We have the whole railroad grade. Probably, I'm going to say at least maybe a couple hundred yards. If you consider both directions, that has been covered with sewage. You actually have, as it's gone through my place, it drains over into Julie Perhasta's place. And then from there, it drains on into Hawkins Park, the sewage is. So you got sewage in Hawkins Park. So this has been an issue that's been going on for, I'm going to say 10 to 15 years, as my memory serves me. We've got to do something about this problem. And I'll tell you, I told Josette, because I spoke with Dale, Councilor Dale. Well, I've talked to Josette. I briefly mentioned something to Donnie prior to coming to the meeting. I've called DEQ because I've come to the end of the road. And I feel like until some noise gets made, this problem is, it just keeps going on and on year after year. And to me, from what I know a little bit about the infrastructure, we've got a serious problem. I know a lot of it is infiltration of stormwater is a huge part of the problem. Why, I don't know if it's pump problems downstream that's not adequate in pulling this drainage off. There's something that's got to be done. I mean, Jason right now cannot use his facilities at all. As far as flushing toilets, running showers, running any kind of water, it'll back up in his house. So I know there's no simple quick fix other than, prior to coming down here tonight, I was thinking, well, yeah, there might be a fix. Call in a big pumper tanker and come and pump out the manhole and get things brought down, but you still got plenty of flow coming in. It'd probably take a tanker truck 24/7 to keep it caught up. So that's where we're at. And I feel frustrated. I feel like I've been patient, way beyond the time of being patient. And that's why I'm here tonight. I at the last minute, and after talking to Donald, I thought, you know what? I just need to come down and make this a public. You guys need to know. And I encourage you, if you want to come down and see it, it's 200 yards from here. I'm not saying tonight, but if you want to see the problem, it's right out there. And right now we got sewage. I mean, there is sewage all over the ground and it's very visible. So, and I hope the DEQ, I've actually filed a complaint online and I expect somebody from DEQ to contact me, and I'm going to strongly urge them to come out and so they can see the problem. And I'm not doing it to be ugly, but I'm doing it to make noise. And maybe the DEQ will help assess if money's needed to correct the problem, whatever is needed to help correct the problem, but it needs to be fixed. It's a huge problem. And I know it's not a quick fix, and it's not a fix that's going to happen in the wet season because there's probably some major digging that has to be done to help fix that problem. So I guess if you got any questions, I guess you can ask me or.
Well, first of all, I don't think you should feel at all bad about being here tonight and let us know that.
No, I really don't feel bad. I feel frustrated. I feel like it just keeps going on year after year. We thought the problem was solved because about 5 years ago, Robert Watts come down and actually connected, because there's three of us, Jason, myself, and my son Mark. We connected into that manhole. Well, Robert came and redirected that downstream from the manhole, hoping that would solve the problem from it backing up. And until this morning, we thought maybe that no, it's happened again. So, and after talking to Jeff today, it's like, I mean, he basically said, well, every manhole's full of water. It's like, so I got curious enough. I came down to the manhole here at Wana, which is the next manhole downstream from the one that's spewing out of my place. And I popped the lid to see, and sure enough, it was over half full. So, and from there, I don't know what it's doing. Okay. Go ahead, JR.
Yeah, Dennis, I wasn't really aware of the ongoing problems. Sorry to hear about that. It's terrible. So 15 years ago, who was the city administrator that you were dealing with?
Oh, well, I can tell you the mayor was Sally. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't recall who the administrator was. I dealt with Sally. Actually, Sally is the only one that really came to my defense through the whole ordeal. It was not a happy ending.
So your house got flooded roughly 15 years ago. Has it been flooded since until tonight?
No, because actually, And it's not my house that flooded this time, it's Jason's.
Okay, well, on the same lateral, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Is there a backflow?
there was a backflow put in on my line, because I'm the one that had the problem. But like I say, Robert came down about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago and changed the location as to where that line hooked in. Because they thought as the water was coming down off the hill, there was such a flow in that manhole that it was pushing directly back into our line. So they, taking that out of there, moving it down, thought that would, well, since then, but
Still the same amount of pressure coming off.
it is.
So is it squirting out of the manhole holes about a foot high or something when it's?
Yeah, at least a foot high.
I seen one do that down by the lake, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. And I know there was some talk about installing these backflow preventers or something. I don't understand a lot about it, but
My concern too, I mean, you got kids walking up and down that railroad grade, you got kids down in the park, I mean, it's a serious problem, the way I see it.
Am I able to speak on this?
Not right now.
I'm here for the same topic. Just heads up.
Okay, so can you wait for the mayor to call on you?
Perfect.
Okay.
how many, is it thousands of gallons, Dennis, is flooding the field and making its way toward the rivers and everything?
Absolutely.
And that little creek between Hawkins Park and your property, is that your property there?
Yeah, because that drainage goes right through my place.
That little creek or whatever
Yeah.
back there?
Yep.
And it's coming across that?
Yes. And that all fills up with water. And it's going towards Julie's place, towards Hawkins Park, and then it's also going across my place and flushing out into a second drainage that goes to Rock Creek. Class 1 stream.
Well, that would be not a pleasant thing to have sewer coming up to your bathtub and everything, so.
No, it's not a pleasant thing.
I know there's been some.
In fact, I can tell you right now, he's having trouble getting it clean. I mean, just because of the grease factor. So anyway, I don't really have any more unless somebody has a question.
Did you document it with some photographs or?
I did. I do have some pictures. So,
And there's sewage on Weed Avenue, so people have to drive through it.
well, it's not actually on Weed Avenue.
Oh, okay.
It's on the railroad grade. Weed Avenue dives down in on.
Yeah, okay.
Railroad grade.
Understand.
So it's running both, where it dives in on the railroad grade, it's running both directions.
In
That flood
the
zone.
ditch. In the ditch along what,
Well, the ditch, you got a drain ditch, runs down towards Springboard, but then it crosses underneath the old railroad grade and cuts through underneath Mark's driveway and comes out through my property and drains down to the field. Helps you get a mind's eye of what it's a huge problem. And I know there's no quick fix. And I do know that after talking with Dale, that, I didn't realize that the smoke test had been done this fall. And it sounds like there's several issues with that. I don't know where you're at with how that's been addressed since all that, people been notified or are being notified. I mean, obviously that would, if you cut down the infiltration, minimize the flow, I mean, that's certainly going to help the situation. So. Okay.
so apparently you have another caller that wants to speak to this issue.
Okay,
It's Kimberly Normand.
okay.
You just call on her and then she'll unmute herself.
Yeah, we're ready for you, Kim, as audience participation. You want to state your name again and for the record and your address?
Yeah. Kimberly Norman. I'm at 1032 Weed Avenue. I'm here for the same problem. Today I witnessed children riding their bicycles through sewage backflow. The odor is not okay for living. And it's not just a right now problem. In the summertime, it will also at times backflow into the railroad grade. And it causes odor so bad that will make you it'll make you puke. I've had someone stop mowing my grass because they couldn't stand the smell of the sewer backflow. But my big concern today is the fact that you guys had children riding bicycles, thinking they're fun, running through big puddles into sewage today. And so I asked at a minimum, you guys barricade that as a hazard to make sure that no one is getting into it. And it needs to be a public notice because people are not aware of what's going on.
Thank you, Kim. And we've recorded all of what you said and in the description where we need to actually barricade it and make it safe again. Thank you for your participation. This is all new to our council and staff today, I'm sure, with what happened.
The problem's not exactly new in that I brought it up to you guys before is the Clatsop Street Bellagio fountain. We've talked about that manhole. It is part of the CDBG that we're working on. Springboard will alleviate some of that. And then your guys' directives of solving the holes in the manhole covers. Because really, it's not a sewer problem. It's a stormwater infiltration into the sewer system problem. It's not that all of a sudden when it rains, everyone's flushing their toilets and letting their tubs out. It's that the stormwater is getting into the existing sewer that's there. The volume is something the system can't handle. And that's what the smoke testing, the manhole lining project we've discussed with you guys, the plugging the holes, making the homeowners responsible for broken clean out lids. All of that should address that I&I problem. It doesn't solve the Weller's immediate problem. I did put a call in today to the engineer to see if there's an emergency solution. When we know this is coming, how can we get ahead of it so that they aren't experiencing the problem until all of those little intermittent fixes ultimately solve the big problem. So I didn't get a call back from Robert, but I'll call him first thing again in the morning and we'll be working on it. But we can barricade it and there's already work orders in place for the treating of the sewage stormwater mix that's out there. There's a treatment that we're required to do when we find that, and Public Works is going to do that first thing in the morning. But we will barricade it too, just to make sure. But it will be kind of nullified once they treat it. It kind of nullifies the danger, so to speak. But we should probably still keep kids out of it.
Definitely.
And I told all this to Dennis when he came in hot earlier, because I can understand. I wasn't here when the original thing happened, but we know it happens. The other thing I did talk to the Public Works Director about is potentially getting a backflow put on Jason's. It won't solve the problem because they still won't, when the flow is high enough to keep that backflow closed, they still can't use their facilities. So the bigger fix is required, but it will stop any of stuff that they're not producing from coming back towards them. So I did talk to Jeff about that, getting one of those installed in their sewer lateral for Jason's house, like there is at Dennis's. And we've done that. We did it also with the house on Ruth, because not only their line would have it when the stormwater infiltrates, but there's a house on Ruth that sewer goes weirdly down towards the house instead of all their fixtures are higher, but the pipe kind of goes down back towards their house. And we had to put one on theirs as well to stop that from happening.
And it helped.
Yeah, it stops. If they keep using the shower, it won't stop it from standing in the shower until we get all the fixes done, right? But if we have an emergency plan, hopefully their pipes would never be full again if we can solve it ahead of it, by paying attention. Until the project and all the other fixes really take away the stormwater problem.
Did you have
going to say,
something to add?
that does not, I mean, what you're saying, yeah, it helps keep it from going into the house. The problem is you still got the raw sewage flowing everywhere. That's That's a big problem.
Right, but if we can stop the stormwater from infiltrating into the sewer,
Yeah.
then people will never make enough sewer to, I mean, that's the weird misnomer, right? Because the pipe without rainwater is never a quarter full, right? But with rainwater, it's,
Well, and
200.
after you did the smoke test, there were several issues that were found.
yeah, those are the broken cleanouts, the manhole lids, all that is in the works right now. They've already directed staff to start going methodically down the hill and doing that to all the manhole covers. They've already put funding, so that's already happening. Not with snow on the ground, right? But it can happen once there's not snow on the ground. For the different plugs, grout, the fix inside the manholes will have to wait till summer because a lot of that is grouting the pipes as they come in. When they're missing grout, then the rainwater or the water table, the water just held in the ground can seep around where the pipes are accessing the manholes, and that causes even more groundwater in.
Is there anything we could do to help Jason for,
So I talked to Jeff about it. The pumps are pumping like 1,100 gallons a minute through pump station 1. The bigger problem is so you go to Rock Creek and everything on this side of Rock Creek is coming down to that manhole and coming down one pipe down the main drag and crossing over the Nehalem where the kind of confluence waterfall is. That's where, so we need to get the springboard project. There's a whole bunch of players that will solve the problem. Short of, there's not really a fix for Jason's because until the manholes recede and aren't this close to the top, no amount of pressure is going to probably come off of his line anyway to let it out, right? Even if we pumped it, it's still raining out, it's still trying to snow out, it's still getting in.
Yes, you have to have a pump 24/7.
Yeah. And then which manhole are you putting it to? Because they're all almost at capacity. So it's kind of, we're caught in a weird spot for the instant solution.
So Josette, with the infiltration, you guys feel like if that's stopped, that's going to solve the problem? If you guys.
Oh, definitely. We know just from testing, when we have tested different tests in the manholes, the dilution rate is huge from stormwater.
It's not a capacity problem.
It-
It's an infiltration.
Right. If we had no stormwater getting in the sewer, we couldn't fill the pipe with sewer.
yeah,
So Dennis, the thought on this at one time was, in the old days, people pipe their gutters into the sewers. So the smoke test proved, we thought we were going to find quite a few up there. I don't think they found quite a few. So it leads me to believe that we've got issues with manholes with that amount of water infiltrating. Either that, or I just don't see how that much water would get in other places. A couple of clean out covers here and there. I don't think it's going to solve our problems. It could help, obviously, but I really suspect we got to get some cameras down in those manholes when it's wet and watch the water coming in, or do some kind of a test where you flood around the manhole in the summertime and watch the water come in. Because if you got a lot of groundwater moving in that soil and you got old broken sections of manhole that aren't grouted right, you could have thousands and thousands of gallons of water in each one of those. That's what I suspect. And I'm not an expert on it at all. I installed manholes years ago, but I don't, excuse me.
I think being attention, I know, because Josette related to earlier today, if there is attention and money is available, I just think we're going to get a little bit. And I understand You can't do much now in the wet season.
We've been talking about doing fiberglass lining on these, I think for 2 or 3 years now. But I don't know the status of that right now. I think at one point we were going to contract it out. Then at one point we were going to do it ourselves. Like Josette would have to remind me on that.
Is there anybody looking into what should be done, temporary fix as far as alleviating the sewage spillage?
Yeah, that's why I contacted the engineer. So I'm going to ask him, what do other municipalities do in this situation where they have overflow and they can't let it just spew out on highway, 30? So what are they doing? There's got to be a fix there. Might be an expensive one, but if we just need to have it at the ready, then that's what we need to do.
Because it sounds like we're supposed to get another good dose of rain Thursday.
Yeah.
I'd
There
like
must be a
to
way
speak
to-
on this again.
Mayor Kimberly would like to speak on it.
Go ahead, Kim.
So I work construction, I oversee construction projects. Not sure if you guys all know that, but if I'm gonna interrupt an active line, there's exterior lines that we install that host all of the, whatever it is, whatever kind of plumbing it is for, whether it's live water, sewer, wastewater, whatever. It goes above ground, we service the lines that are there and then reactivate. So City of Longview would be a great resource to reach out to. They just did Oregon Way and all of their sewer went above ground. It didn't impede traffic. And that would be a solution to right now. I'm speaking out of terms for Dennis, but I'm sure he'd rather have a 2-foot line running through his field right now versus sewer all over. You guys all seem so calm about it, but it's not in your front yard. Your animals aren't getting into it. Your kids aren't playing in it. So I get that you guys, say that, Dennis came in heated earlier and I seem heated now, but you're calm because it's not your house. You don't have sewer in your house. Also, on a job site, if I cause something that causes a backflow into someone's house, I'm paying for everything. I'm putting them up in a hotel room. I'm paying for all the remediation of all the damages. No questions asked. That person should never have to come to me and ask for nothing. I would expect the same out of our city. We literally pay your wages with our taxes.
Thank you, Kim, for that additional information, and we wrote it down, and we'll be in contact along with our engineers and the city of Longview. So that's good information. We appreciate it. And we do feel your frustration. I personally do. It's the first time I've actually heard about the problem. I knew there was a problem there, but to this extent tonight, I didn't have any idea. So we're going to try to do everything we can for the Wellers and all those involved in that area, Kim, including you. Thank you for being on the meeting tonight, Kim.
Yeah, I'll respond to that too, Kim. Getting mad up here doesn't help us solve the problem. So if it looks like we're calm, it's probably because I got a mask on, but believe me, there's a frown under my face. It doesn't make me happy that Mr. Weller's down here and sewer running through across the properties and into people's houses. So just because we're calm doesn't mean we're not upset about it. So we're going to work toward a solution. I would like to set up a walk with Mr. Weller or somebody Saturday, wherever my first day, Friday, and look at the problem myself, or maybe the whole council would get a chance to look at it and get a map of all the piping systems. And I like your comment about above ground pipe. I'm sure there's some kind of solution to reroute part of this, hopefully. So Dennis and Jason and Kim, don't think we're not going to work on it, because this is the first time I've heard it's this big of a problem. I know there was a problem 15, 20 years ago. I've heard about it, but that's the extent I've ever heard about it. So I've heard that we're working toward a bypass line and getting rid of the way we do it now through some grant program, but sometimes those can take a while. So thanks for coming down. Thanks for voicing your concerns. So.
Well, and also, you guys said that there was a work order put in to barricade it off. This would be considered an emergency type of thing. If I got this call from one of my job sites, I'd be leaving right now and going to remedy that right this moment. If I expose the general public to a hazard, I'm liable for that. I would assume the same as for the city. So I would hope that it wouldn't just go in the folder for tomorrow's work orders and get done by afternoon. It should be something that should be handled immediately. These people's kids are going home and the parents have no clue that their kids are bringing raw sewage into their house. Like you guys, some of you have small children. Imagine your kids running through and you're like, what's that smell? To find out 2 days later on Facebook, they were playing in raw sewage. It's a bigger picture.
Okay, thank you, Kim. We're going to move on with the meeting now.
Josette, when were you notified of this? I know you were probably gone over Christmas vacation, but
Today,
today.
when their problem occurred.
Okay, any other?
Well, I think we need to look at some manholes down farther to make sure there's not a restriction in that part of flow, because it seems like there's one manhole up here overflowing, but none of these downstream are overflowing.
Could be something stuck in there somewhere,
Yes.
or it could be, is it flow uphill? From that manhole closest to Weller's to here, is it actually a flat grade or is it?
I don't know what the grade is.
See, that's part of this
Jim
information.
has mentioned that there is a drop in that line from that manhole down to the one below.
So it is flowing this way.
Yeah.
If the pipe is in good shape.
The problem is it all comes down to Clatsop and has to 90. Then it comes straight down this way and has to 90 again. So in that friction, you're losing a ton of that. In those turns, you lose capacity and how fast the flow can get out. But it's
Yeah,
concern about, I'm willing to look at anything. My concern about bypassing it is we do not have a manhole on this side of town that is more open for capacity than that at this moment. Until there's less rain and the pump has more hours to pump however many thousands of gallons an hour, that's how we relieve the system currently, aside from the fixes that will stop the stormwater from getting there in the first place.
is this the pump by the dump? That pumps everything
Yes,
this way?
Yeah.
So everything has to cross Rock Creek Dam there?
yes.
No, what is that, 6 or 8 inch line or something, 10-inch line,
Well,
12-inch line? Yeah,
so that's kind of the issue. If we didn't have,
take away the 90s and then the next one overflows. Is that what you're thinking?
well, Dennis and I had this discussion and we were talking, he was saying, could we just do a sideline and trench it out and kind of divert? And I said, you could, but then we're just kicking this problem to the next manhole, to the next manhole. At some point, we're going to hit a point with the parameters being what they are, that the next one will be the Clatsop one. Does that make sense? You would just be kind of kicking that bottlenecking down the way. So that's why I want Robert to tell me, and I can call the city of Longview and see what do they do in these emergency situations, because they've got to have a solution to that. Somebody does.
Yeah,
But like Dennis said, as of 5 years ago, we thought, hey, okay, we moved their thing, the backflow device, it's all working. But it's these weird kind of flash flood events where you get snow melt with a downpour of rain and you get too much coming into the system all at once. The system can't handle that with the, what?
What's that? I'm sorry.
No, did I say something?
No, I was trying to recall even if last year, if I ever even seen the manhole.
I don't think it did last year.
It did last year because we never had no.
Huge moment, yeah.
so does everything come down to Halem then and feed from Corey Hill, or is it Clatsop?
There's multiple, and I can, if I had the big TV, I could pull up the sewer chart. But it's really a network, and it's kind of one of the things small towns kind of have an issue with is it's over time, where the people of the time thought was the right spot to put the main lines and all, it's a cluster. It's like little tendrils out everywhere.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but it sounds almost like we need to look at the possibility of going up to First or Second Avenue and catching a lot of it and coming over and then come down bridge or something and take some of that pressure off if we can't stop the infiltration, or really work on the infiltration. And
I think the biggest problem is they all go through one pipe across the Nahala. So you get one backed up and then those are backed up and then those are backed up. So it's really that bottlenecking that comes down.
Yeah, but if Dennis is way up here and all the other ones are down here by the Anderson Park and they're not squirting, then there is some capacity downstream. But I'm wondering if the velocity coming down right there by that manhole is just too much right there without, and it can't push through.
Right. And it's not like
and bring it over and down.
So just says that makes me think, is that a pump capacity problem then? That the
Yes.
pump's not pumping enough?
well, the pipe size and the pump
Pipe size in.
are not big enough for that amount of flow. But
But my thinking, when you have a pump hooked up and it's so big that it takes everything that the system feeds it, then that's going to drain it out. So is it a pump capacity problem?
no, because it's pushing through that pipe as much as it can in an hour. The problem is everything's is full, right? So all the main lines of ours are full. So as that starts to do its job, right, it's been running for 24 hours now. This area is the last that's going to feel that change, right? Because the pipes up here and our lines up here are going to get less, quicker. It's all still flowing downhill. This is that pinch point with a 90 and then has to do another 90 and then it's going. So it's kind of like the cascading effect that causes Clatsop to be the last manhole at the bottom of the hill that gets emptied, basically.
Does the pump, is it a smart pump to where it changes automatically for how much pumps, or is it just set?
That would be a Jeff question.
Because it would seem like if the pump could pump plenty and the capacity was full at the pipe, the pump should be able to out pump the pipe and you would have cavitation or empty manholes close to the pump. But, I don't know, because I don't know the specs on the pump, if it can be turned up or if you turn it up and then it sucks dry, what that would do, because
Yeah.
you only suck so much out of the pump without cavitating too.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, this is a problem that I think Josette's on the right track. Get the engineer out here, have him run his brain over it. We can't sit here and fix this, from the diocese.
Yeah.
I mean, we really need to, hopefully he'd grab some of the crew and take a look at some manholes, look at some flows and kind of make a determination of exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I concur, Counselor Webb.
Is there an immediate need for facility? Like, are you not able to use your restroom?
Yeah, I can't use it, no.
Is there something we can do about that? Like a porta potty or something? I don't know.
He comes over to my place.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're not totally out.
I'm sure we're going to be in very near touch with you guys and might even have some kind of resolution tomorrow, maybe, hopefully, plan forward.
Yeah, plan.
Yeah.
I'm praying for a miracle.
Yeah. Thank you again for being here.
Okay. We'll let you get on, but I got out of business.
Sorry again.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Consent agenda for acceptance, consent agenda for approval, city council meeting minutes for October 25th, 2021. The workshop here with the chief.
Are there any corrections?
I wasn't there.
Yeah. Any questions or discussions? If none, would anyone like to move to accept the city council meeting minutes for October 25th, 2021?
I'll move that we accept them.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Counselor Ash. Call the roll. Counselor Ash.
Aye.
Mayor Hobart says aye. Counselor Allen.
Aye.
Counselor Norman.
Aye.
Counselor Webb.
All right.
Motion carried. Thank you. Unfinished business, staff report. I'll turn it over to Angie. Or Josette.
I think this is a dual, both of us.
Okay.
So you guys had approved the Avenue Stormwater project. Use ARPA funds for that. And then you had asked us to bring the next projects on your priority list that outright meet the ARPA criteria. So we just did that here, and you can see the order that they were in is designated by the number to the left. I talked to Mayor Hobart about this. The three that are the Louisiana, even though the Seepley Clatsop one is in there, those really will need to be addressed at the same time. So that north-south connection, that's the project where we've been allocated to get $400,000 from Senator Betsy Johnson's share of the state senator's ARPA funds. And then the stormwater master plan and the water main upgrade, that would happen in conjunction with that north-south connection, because we're doing the engineering for stormwater off of Louisiana, and then before paving, whatever water main upgrades that needed to happen in Louisiana would happen ahead of that paving. So I just wanted to point that out, that those three probably aren't this year's ARPA money because they're in engineering work right now. And then we do have the chunk of Senator Johnson's funding for the north-south connection. So if you were talking about using this year's ARPA money, Weed Avenue's out because you already said yes to that. So you really have the Seepley issue, the sewer line extension, which I was meaning to ask Jeff that. I believe that's already done at Swartz. So Millhouse sewer line, that's halfway completed. The lower part at the lake is installed. The part to be installed still is the line behind the homes in the alley. So we're talking, it says mill houses, but it's where Fred Oviatt used to live. So it's East Bridge. There's that little row of houses right before you go to the lake. There's the new subdivision. And then there's the little row of houses. Those houses, the sewer line at the time was placed in some of them under their house, which is not what we ever wanted. But so we're going to be putting a new sewer main in the alley. It's a platted alley behind their houses. That's how they get to their garages and parking. And then it will come down the bank there to Lakeview and go into it'll come down the blackberry bushes to the lake parking where the big puddles are. And that's where they put in the new pipe to go straight to pump station 3. which is there and it's chain linked around it. So that's halfway done. So really, the two that are still to be done in this fiscal year and kind of our brains is the Clatsop Street and the completion of the sewer line replacement or the Lakeview Mill House replacement. I did explain this to the mayor, so I'll explain it to the rest of council. The Maple Street sewer is a small job. It's right here on Maple Street. We have an alley behind the saw shop. And the adjacent homeowner thought it'd be a great place to put his debris and then burn it. And the problem is that pipe had been slip lined and his burn pile melted the slip line plastic into a knot and blocked the sewer there. So we've cleared the blockage, but we need to go back in and re-slip line that line there.
How many feet is that?
The distance of it, I believe it's under 100 feet that where we would be slip lining because the remaining slip lines on this side of the bank. And then I did also explain this to the mayor. The Knox Road water line was a project that kind of reared its head a number of years ago. In the water master plan, there is a proposed reservoir up on Knox between Odom's and Terry's Gym. The city owns property where the old dump was years back. That's where a reservoir is supposed to go. And this Knox Road water line was an idea that because our water line stops on 3rd Avenue, if you take Cougar and go up Knox, you'll cross 3rd. That fire hydrant there is the last of the regular water line up there. And this project was going to continue it up Knox Road to where that reservoir would be. We did surveys of the homeowners adjacently that would want to connect into it to see how much of our SDCs we would recover if people did connect. But then it kind of stalled out at that because the council at the time quit going forward with the reservoir idea. And without the reservoir up there to kind of make a loop in our water system, like a continuous loop, there wasn't a lot of continuous push for that because there were a couple of homeowners that were trying to avoid digging a well up there because it's like the cheapest area to dig a well. So they came to the city at the time and were like, hey, can we get water? Can we get water? And so this project kind of devolved out of that. And then those people ended up doing a well anyway. So without the kind of momentum and the stomach for outfooting the bill for a new reservoir, that project that's still on your priority list, as you can see, it's 47. So it kind of just dropped to the bottom at that point.
Where's the city line up there on Knox Road? Is it at the top of the?
It's at 3rd, right? It's at 3rd. This is it right here. This is Knox, right? This is you come up the first tight corner down right here on Cougar, and then this is 3rd, and this blue line is the city limits.
The reservoir.
There's a couple across the top.
Reservoir would be quite a ways out of city limits.
Yeah.
But they're on
Far where the gym is.
Band of High line. Okay, yeah.
I thought we just passed something where we're going to push out of city limits anymore with water.
Well, no, we're not. And that's another valid point of why Knox isn't going to work until something changes.
I don't think a lot of people would connect. I mean, you're going to spend.
We had about, well, at the time, and prices are crazy now compared to what they were. We probably had 12 of the 30 property owners that wanted to connect. So that equated to 40-something thousand in SDC return because they would pay that when they get water. But it was all kind of contingent on the reservoir, this looping of the system, building up infrastructure. Ultimately, this high plateau and the high plateau at the end of the tree streets will be ultimately, and Louisiana, will be where the city builds because the rest is floodplain. That could be a 15-year down the road reservoir, right? Or 20 years, who knows? Depends on the population ebb and flow of how many people come out here. So that wasn't really one, it was on your priority list, that's why it's included, but it wasn't really one that we had very much explain it, so you weren't like, what's that?
Joe said some of these things take quite a while to get going with the permitting and engineering and bidding and all that.
The two I'm proposing that you could feel good about doing the ARPA funding with, the Clatsop and the Mill House, those are already engineered and all the permitting, DEQ's already signed off on those projects. So we're just at the construction stage now.
Is that something, or you're looking for our staff to complete or hand it over to a contractor?
No, so both of these would be with staff's assistance, but our public works could assist whoever in, making sure all the lines and doing that kind of thing and inspections with the engineer. But they're both projects that are outside of our scope in kind of skill set for placing that kind of thing and just the equipment. We don't have the equipment necessary to pull either of these off. You need an excavator and a lot of large equipment.
The sewer line extension on Spencer,
That's done.
that's already done.
That was the one kind of going to the little weird nub up by Swartz.
There
Can be
was something
crossed
like
out.
a fire hydrant or something.
Yeah, there's a water, like a blow off valve or something that needs to go in there before we pave it. Because that section of Spencer is in the SCA project. So that last bit of water issue, but that's why we extended the sewer, was so that we wouldn't be needing to cut the fresh pavement to extend sewer. Were those lots that Morissette and they used to be Don Webb's property, the back of Don Webb's property. He sold it, a different developer partitioned them and she was gonna build on them, but then she changed her mind. But we wanted to have the infrastructure in place so they could just tap right in and not cut the road.
When I first read the categories that we could spend this money on, it seemed pretty liberal as an argument for almost anything. And then I know Angie mentioned that she read some fine print or something I haven't read maybe. Can you expand on that, Angie?
Well, there's 4 main categories. So there was to respond to public health emergency. Then there's to respond to workers performing essential work during COVID-19. Those two don't really have we don't have anything that falls under that. For the provision of government services to the extent of reduction in revenue due to COVID-19 public health emergency, we didn't have a reduction in revenue. And then to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. So that was where it was pretty obvious. We did have, like, there was the Blue House thing, there was the Columbia County economic, we gave them the 10,000.
Yeah, we use that one as
the revenue for
the
small
revenue, yeah.
businesses. That's why
But the rest of it, and even under the infrastructure thing, the more I read on it, that's even pretty stringent and they have to fall under things that would be approved under the CWRSRF, whatever, Clean Water Act. So there's still, it's not just willy-nilly, we want to do something sparkly. It has to meet certain, there has to be a need for it. They're not just giving us money to blow on a new car. They want it to be something that we would have to, that would need to be done and we would have to go out for funding through DEQ or, that type that would meet their criteria to get a loan for. So, I mean, it's all in here. It's a lot of reading. I skimmed through and found the sections that it talked about. Stormwater is included in that infrastructure. let's see, where did it have the verbiage?
And so if
Broadband.
the engineers determine that there are upgrades that we need to make to address the issue we just heard about, that would be able to go on this list as well. That would fall into
For the
ARPA.
color thing. Yeah, and I mean, that issue, like she was saying, is we're working on that project right now. It's not going to be fast because we're using CDBG funds, which right now we're in the design phase. We'll have those plans ready to go out to bid, hopefully in the next couple of months. But then we have to wait for the next round of the grant to get the construction loan, which is going to be a couple $1 million. So ARPA money can't touch that. You know, we don't have that much. So, but yeah, there's that issue, and it does stink that the timing of this stupid rain.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it done.
If they come up with like, you know, we could run an above ground, or we could do something to divert.
Yeah,
A temporary fix that
I
would.
think that would we could probably make that fit.
Yeah, because they would be the,
Public health issue.
well, and they would be the ones funding that kind of emergency thing, DQ or somebody
Mhm.
like that. So that would fit in the ARPA funding.
Okay.
But we wanted to bring this list to you because if you're okay with it, we would get harder numbers so that we're not just saying,
Mhm.
let us spend the money with no number. So that's why you guys wanted to kind of discuss it to see if,
Can you just remind me and our new members, the Sifley sewer issue? I think it's just a relocation of the sewer line.
yeah, so we're going from 6th to 4th and putting in a new sewer main because right now it comes, there's a manhole at 6th. Let's see if I can see it. There's a manhole at 6th Avenue. It comes down and before it gets to 5th Avenue, it just cuts the corner of this guy's property. They couldn't get grade back in the day going straight down because they didn't want to dig deep. So they just cut through his property. Well, now he wants to develop that. And you can't have a sewer main on someone's property that didn't give express condition or an easement. So we're moving it off his property, decommissioning that section of it and going straight from 6th to 4th. Manhole, putting in a manhole at 5th and then going to the manhole at 4th.
Did we ever get the logs moved somehow yet?
No, Mr. Ebert still is, I'm still waiting for him to say what day I can drive up there and he can show me where to put them.
Through our attorney.
Yeah, because he wouldn't contact us until our attorney had contacted his attorney and then he responded to my email that I sent like a month and a half ago. I don't know what the hiccup is, but
To me, it sounds like we have a lot of sewer stormwater issues that this money could help really solve a lot of it if we focus the money on that and the real problems of that. I think, Robert, it might be worth inviting him up here during the rain and start investing, show him physically, look, we're full here, look, we're full here. Tell him to bring us.
Know from the smoke testing where the problems are. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we could for sure pay for those fixes with the ARPA money.
yeah.
The slip lining and the,
You know, I don't know, maybe it's worth setting up a meeting with Robert and the council, or if they want to go, or whoever, city public works, and meet with the Wellers and walk around and talk. It could probably go a long way into showing that we're really interested in solving this somehow. And then I have a bad, I don't know, but that's a lot of water to be coming in there. I don't think it's a gutter or two. I think it's.
Oh, no, I think it's manholes. The pipes coming into the manholes have lost grout over the years. The clean outs, the lids, it's all of it.
Cast iron pipe up in there? Is it all fairly new plastic?
No, so it's just where the different, so when they slip lined a few years ago, the hole in the side of the manholes here, right? Well, the pipe sticks out like this. They grouted, but over the course of years, it's just pushed the grout in, right? So that's what the company we were looking at to line the manholes was like was some sort of spray fiberglass coating right? That could not be pushed in by, you do it in the dry time, it hardens up and it doesn't allow that water to get through those riser sections. It doesn't allow the water to get around the edge of pipe, the slip line for the piping. Yeah, there's a lot of,
Do you happen to know offhand roughly how many manholes we're talking about up on Corey Hill causing this problem potentially?
I'd have to look at a map. I want to say so a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago, we came up with a manhole grading, basically like a notebook for public works staff, where they go to each manhole and they grade, is there cracks? Is the grout missing? All these things. And it's pictures. I mean, it's very self-explanatory for any new public works worker. They've done a lot of that grading, so we do know. What hasn't been done is all of that data has not been encapsulated into one thing about the manholes and their condition. We have all the data, we just haven't put it together in a report to then know, okay, these fixes we could do ourselves, these definitely just need that fiberglass thing because there's a couple of them that we would probably propose you just yank out the whole manhole and put a brand new one in because tree roots have come in through the cracks and they're constantly cutting those back and fighting those. So it's just all over for the course of years. The city probably didn't have any funds. I mean, when I moved here, they were charging $35 a month for water and sewer. I don't think they were earmarking those funds for the maintenance of the sewer system. Because that was probably not even covering the costs at that time. So.
Okay, any other?
May I say one thing?
Yeah.
If you are planning on having council, more than 2 of you, go to Weller's, will you please let us know so we can post the potential quorum so we're following public meetings law?
Yep.
If that becomes something you're planning on doing. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
It's Dale.
Dale, go ahead.
There I am. So question for staff. So how does Louisiana Avenue North-South connection qualify outside of the storm master plan and the water main?
The north-south connection is funding we've received from Betsy Johnson. So that's how it qualifies, is someone above our pay grade has approved to give us funds to do it.
Right, but these ARPA funds that we have at our disposal, I mean, we've got Betsy's money, but how do these funds qualify to go into that project?
The north-south connection, it's only there, Dale, because it was on your guys' priority list.
Oh, okay.
It
So
isn't there because we think ARPA could meet it. We were just saying, I left it there because the 3 Louisianas are going to happen simultaneously, which would most likely be next year's ARPA money. If you did the master planning or the water upgrade.
Okay.
It's going to be next year's.
So is it staff's position now that street paving isn't part of this ARPA money?
No, that's not one of the approved uses of the ARPA money. It's not paving.
So
The way Betsy saw the north-south connection was different than more safety, pedestrian, that's how she was taking it. And I don't know I would think they'd follow the exact same guidelines as us. But they gave money out of the state senator's fund for a roof for a gymnasium. So I don't know how they're picking and choosing their projects.
yeah, I know one time staff was making an argument because of COVID, it kind of messed up our SCA, trying to go after that funding because of the delays on the ADA ramps.
Right.
And I don't know if that's still a valid argument or do we even want to chance that? I mean, and again, do we really have some place you can call and get a clearinghouse that they'd say yes or no?
Well, I'm of the adage, which might be different from you guys, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm not going to ask any questions about how Betsy's selling it to whoever she's got to sell it to, that she's paying for the north-south connection.
Right. But my point is, if we feel that COVID played somewhat of a role in us not getting that small cities allotment grant, and I think there was kind of some verbiage in there, you could make that case, then that would qualify for use. But again, it would be a gamble for us to do that blindly without asking somebody, okay, we think this is the case, and see how they arbitrate that.
Well, what are you wanting to use it for?
What if to replace the 1 year's worth of small city allotment grant money that we missed out on?
But is that,
Well, we could chase that down, but that's separate from the north-south connection, right?
Right. Yeah. This is separate from the north-south. This would
so
be
it's
other
not
street.
something on the list, it's just some
No.
random paving project?
Yeah, he's just talking about paving more in the 2023 year using ARPA funds because we were held hostage to nobody at ODOT for
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Instead of,
But that would also probably be next year's money, right, Dale? Because we'd have to have an actual project we're pitching, and at this current point, ahead of the streets inventory getting kind of through Public Works Committee and council's blessing on it, we don't really have that next project outlined immediately. So I don't think it's realistic to try and, from a staffing thing, I don't know that it's realistic for us to say, oh yeah, we can come up with the project on top of all the other things in the short term, just to spend the money this year.
because we get the next round in July anyway, that's only 6 months away.
Yeah, but we couldn't
Right,
apply
and-
for
And then
2022.
you've got the
No,
2024
I meant for the
expense.
ARPA money, we get more ARPA money in July.
Yeah,
And we're gonna have to pay for these 2 projects that we're pitching anyway, so, I mean, we don't just toss them aside, because if you guys decide to use all the ARPA money for paving, we still have to pay for the Seepley sewer project somehow.
No, and I'm not proposing that. I think that is a good use for those funds. What you've pitched. I mean, those the Seepley and the mill house and even that slip lining, but they probably don't add up to a great amount of money, or at least I hope they wouldn't.
oh man, I'm surprised at how much stuff adds up to lately,
Yeah.
Dale.
Well, yeah, I know. Just to get a contractor and to get those logs out of there is crazy.
Yeah.
Rent me a shovel, I'll go do it.
So I think what we're saying is we're not opposed to working towards getting the next SCA missing project outlined, but we don't want to do it ahead of the inventory going to Public Works and to you guys before we work on that.
Yeah, and we
Because
got to 2024 to expense these funds, but I think our case for that doing the SCA though is it, and maybe I'm wrong, but our case is we were damaged because of COVID. We get another year or 2 down the road, might be harder to make that case.
This money came to us for that reason, no matter how long down the road it is. I mean, that's why we got it.
The paving projects we were going to do last year was the Weed Avenue. And we held that up because of the storm drain project.
Yeah.
And that was held up basically because of the wheelchair ramps on State Avenue
Yeah.
weren't done on time.
And what's the next?
And so,
Weeds included in this next round with Alabama and.
but what I'm saying is maybe we could use some ARPA funds to not only do the storm, the drain, but to pave it.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, Mayor. The current SCA project application that we've been funded for is the weed paving,
Okay,
Spencer and Alabama.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's the 22 money, the
okay.
23 money that we weren't allowed to apply for because of the ADA issue.
Yeah.
So Dale, I'm happy to ask Ruben to decipher the section you're talking about and see if he thinks we can make a case. And then once the report goes to Public Works and Council, we could always propose that as an expenditure and, you know, depending on the time of year, it could be before the contractor comes out to do the SCA project. We
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's,
have the same hiccups if we had our own money to pay for it. It'd just be a you know, schematic of what their lift's going to contain and what the prep work will be, and then a cost per square foot.
yeah, and it, I know it'd be a perfect world that, I mean, we're going to pay before the end of this fiscal year. And then if you built the project to have them do that and then turn around and have the next fiscal year's money there to do the other streets, they just roll into it. Economy of scale a little bit,
Yeah.
Potentially a $200,000 project versus just $100,000.
Yeah.
So.
Well, definitely investigate that.
Yeah, and that's all I'm asking. I know you made that pitch before that potentially we could use that. And it, again, I agree with you. We need to see some cost estimates here and see how much money we got left in the pot.
Yeah.
We
didn't want to bring it to back cost estimates back to you guys if it isn't, partly because when we get a bid, it's good for about 30 days, sometimes 60 days, depending on the contractor. So we didn't want to, if you guys were not going to be for these earmarked projects, we weren't going to waste the time to get it all together.
Right.
So-
And I think we did already go ahead and allocate for some of the storm drain issues will help on the Corey Hill, but I don't think we did anything. I don't know if we came up with a number for some of the remedial actions on the dropping the name.
The manhole coverage
The
you
manholes. Yeah.
did. You did.
We did on the manholes?
Yeah, you gave us a number. I don't have it off the top of my head. It's in my office. And then when we looked at that number, we started talking about the plugs.
Yeah, well, we just said buy a couple cases of them, hand them out like candy to people and try to get them installed.
Yeah.
I suppose we can't buy the smoke testing equipment with this money, so that'll be a budgetary thing we need to think about.
Yeah, but I mean, in contract services, you could always, money we're not expending in a contract that was earmarked for the Lakeview Millhouse sewer, you could transfer that money to a different line and buy the equipment.
Right, and wasn't that staff's thinking on using ARPA money then so we could then potentially purchase some equipment?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'd be the appropriate way to use our own money to buy the things that don't meet the criteria.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think getting a track hoe is becoming more imperative all the time for the city, I believe. Otherwise, we're going to spend a lot in contractor fees.
Yeah. Send someone to track hoe school.
Donnie and I can teach him in a couple hours.
Okay.
Liability, people, liability.
You want cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want a general consensus?
Well, just like you guys direct us to feedback cost estimates on the ones you're willing to have us move forward, working towards.
In the form of a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to have staff address these specifically, the Seafley sewer issue and the Millhouse sewer line replacement to have staff run the numbers and to see how much the completion cost would be to be used, and then to use ARPA money to pay for that.
Did we want to do Maple Street also?
Say one more time.
Were you asking to do Maple Street also?
You guys could throw it in there. I can get prices for it. And then you can we can see if we have enough money left and pick and choose which ones you fund.
What was that? I couldn't hear through the mask.
Maple Street?
Oh,
If we want to include that one. It seems like a small one, but that may.
that was a little.
good if we have it.
Yeah.
100 feet.
Hiring someone just to come in and slip line it. Because it's a cast iron that goes across Bear Creek up in the air. It's exposed.
Oh.
So that's why a number of years ago they slip lined it, but then the fire melted the slip line.
And there was no liability for that?
Well, there was, at the time, we didn't have it posted, not your property, basically. So it was going to be more of a fight than it was worth. And we were just like, we posted, it says, do not park here, do not do anything here now. Troubling, you have to put that on a sign, but.
My only question about the mill house one, I thought you said done by our staff and be done by August last summer. Did we run into problems, and where did we had the funding to do it? Did we have an estimate on the cost for materials? Have we bought all the materials?
It's, yeah, within the budget, we've been rolling that one forward for the last couple of years, just because with Robert's schedule, I don't know what
Yeah.
what the hang up was initially, but he's got it half done. He came in the week before we were closed, and said that he thought he could get it finished this month, but it's going to be under $10,000.
Oh, okay.
And we
It's all done.
our guys did do the laying work in that job.
Yeah.
Manhole down there or lower, right?
Robert did.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all done down
I thought
below.
the city crew was doing that.
Well, they were in
They did.
conjunction with Robert Watts.
Robert's doing the digging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had to bring in shoring and a whole bunch of stuff that,
Because it was deep.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we got some issues that we can knock out. And it's almost a problem trying to spend this money at times.
Right.
To say that, but with engineering and all that stuff, you don't get moving on it, you run out of time.
Yeah.
I know there's a million little projects we all like to do, but man, when we got citizens coming in here and they're swimming in sewer, that's not good. So,
So just to clarify, they did pop their clean out. So it's not going in Jason's house, right? They had to pop the clean out to let it spill on the ground. And that's that's working. They're going to treat that first thing in the morning. So it's around his clean out. And I know everyone loves the raw sewage misnomer, but it's very, very, very diluted.
Mhm.
So yes, it is sewer. Yes, it does come with penalties and fines if DEQ finds out about it, but it's not the same as like Lagoon number 1, where it's all just sewers in a high concentration spilling into. It's so diluted by that stormwater that it's a finding, but it's not the same as Lagoon 1 dumping over into the Nehalem.
so if we spend all this money on these projects, are we gonna have enough to address the manholes, which I think a lot of us suspect are the worst infiltration issue on Corey Hill?
Well, without getting all that data into one solidified report to really know how many, I think at one time we were talking $2,000 a manhole was what it was going to cost the company that had proposed it. Their price is probably doubled. So say it's $4,000 a manhole, depending on the depth. So it may even be $6,000 for some of the deeper ones. I think that's still pretty easily accomplished.
Didn't we have like 60,000 in the budget about 2 or 3 years ago for that?
Yeah, we did. You guys didn't roll it over again into this budget.
Because we were going to do it ourselves, if I remember right.
I don't remember Jeff ever being able to do it himself. I mean, I don't remember him ever saying he doesn't have that capability. So maybe there was a grouting project or an injecting grouting project that was pitched that staff could do probably, but
That's
it wouldn't have
correct.
been the slip lining. Huh?
That's correct. They
Okay.
pitched, they had some type of pressure grout.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like we ever have time to actually get it done.
I mean, really, if you're looking at it, we have a public works team of 3 on a good day, right? If someone's not got anything else going on. And so
Well, and they still have all their daily tasks that they have to do. So
To treat.
these big projects, even the ones that they could tackle, it's going to take them away from everything else, or somebody's constantly leaving them. I mean, that's why they take so long. And that's where we've gotten to the point where we want to just contract out for some of these things just to get it done. It just makes more sense. It's more efficient.
and have never had a funding opportunity like this, right? In the old days, we were doing it ourselves because that's all we could afford. Now we have kind of a windfall of this money specific to these projects we'd like to do or need to do. And so it kind of matches pretty well, in our opinion.
Yeah, I'm okay with getting a bid on all those projects myself, but I want to make sure we try to think about the money to fix those manholes on Quarry Hill or get the engineer involved in another fix. We can't, I mean, I think we all agree we can't just let sewer water, no matter how diluted it is, boil over on people's property.
Right.
Getting back to the motion for use of ARPA funds, these 2 projects, or 3 projects.
We're not moving to use the funds, we're just moving to get,
Direct staff to bring you back cost estimates.
In the form of a motion.
I would move that we direct staff to get information for Seafley and the mill houses and Maple.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Counselor Norman seconded it. Call the roll. Counselor Norman. Aye. Counselor Allen.
Aye.
Counselor Ash.
Aye.
Counselor Webb.
Aye.
Mayor Hobart. Aye. Okay, moving on to new business. Staff report, CDC, non-discrimination policy.
All right, this is just kind of a housekeeping thing. We have one of these in place already, but it was signed by Arrow, new CDBG grant for the Springboard project. We have to have one signed by the current mayor. So boilerplate from them, the same exact policy that we've adopted before. And we're not really, well, we are adopting it, but it's the same exact policy that we adopted back in, I think it was 2016. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a federal requirement that if someone feels they're being discriminated based on disability, that it goes to the police department, because then it can't have like some sort of staffing, sweep something under the rug. The person, it just follows different protocol there. So that's why they require us to have it, because we have to agree to follow the federal rules to get their money.
So it's the same exact word, it's just an update from the current mayor's side. Yep. We need a motion for that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Authorizing the mayor to sign it.
Yeah.
Adopting it and authorizing the mayor to sign it.
I'll make a motion then that we authorize the mayor to sign the updated non-discrimination policy, or not updated, but re-sign the CBP non-discrimination policy. As
So moved. Thank you, Counselor Allen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Counselor Ash. I'll call the roll. Counselor Ash.
Aye.
Counselor Allen. Counselor Norman.
Aye.
Counselor Webb.
Aye.
Mayor Hobart. Aye. Motion carried. Business from departments. I don't believe there are any tonight.
There is not.
Ordinances and resolutions, none of those. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
I kind of have a correspondence. It's a humorous thing that happened to Josette and I.
Uh-oh.
And we thought we were going to attend a hearing of
The defendant.
that broke the windows in City Hall. So we met over at the courthouse in room 351. We got over there and just about 10 minutes before hearing started, and we went upstairs and walked in the big courtroom and sat down, and for about the next 45 minutes, we listened, to make a long story short, another case. We listened to a district attorney, a defense attorney, 3 witnesses, and finally, after about 45 minutes, Josette and I both looked at each other and go, are we in the right room, or is there going to be a hearing after this one? So we went and found out it was switched, and we weren't told about it. And so it's funny, things happen to you sometimes, but it was kind of humorous. So
Rick almost wanted to go back in and see what happened to the guy because he'd been there so we had heard so much of the case. We wanted to see what the outcome was, but we didn't go back in.
I think that the actual hearings this month sometime. So
yeah,
we're going to try to attend. So.
And I did finally get a response from the contractor about when he could start.
Oh.
I wanted to wring his neck because we told him 2 months ago that we wanted to. So hopefully we'll get that going, get them fixed here pretty soon.
I just thought I'd share that.
Nothing like spending December 23rd in the courthouse at the wrong hearing.
Yeah. Okay, city administrator report.
So I apologize for not having a written one. I had issues come up in the beginning of the week the Christmas week. So the final electrical has been done on the generator. We just need Felton's to connect the gas line, and then Power Systems Plus will come out and put in the battery and do the whole first run start. Luckily, we didn't have sustained damage with the short power outages that we had with their food product. But we're hoping to never have to worry about that again after Power Systems Plus does the startup at the new Rose Avenue building. Like Angie said, we're working to get the windows fixed as ASAP. We're very thankful Tim painted them white because we didn't anticipate the boards being up this long, but it does help people not to see the damage the same way as boarded up. And then I'm preparing my paperwork for my quarterly. We have our quarterly meeting with city administrator and council next Monday. And so my plan is to bring you guys the updated priority list with the completed tasks and then any new notes. Is there any other documentation you want for that meeting that I'm not thinking of? Because that's pretty much been what we were kind of going through, that list of what's on the plate of the city. And if something pops into your head, and it doesn't matter if it's just from one of you, you can easily email me and I can distribute it to everyone. So.
The last time you said you were going to clean it up and categorize it with things that go together because it's spread all over the place.
Yeah.
Maybe if we could do that and highlight it or color code it, because stuff was up here that really.
Well, they're all in your guys' priority, but the subject base is different. So I was going to color code it based on if it's public works, if it's admin, that's what we were going to do. I could pull them out, and then just leave the order number, but then that might mess up because that isn't the priority order you put them in. Whichever way I can do. I can color code them by what department works on that. Or I could.
Original design, then whatever you want to change it to help clarify and clean it up.
Okay.
Too.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
I can just do the color coding and the notes and then pull out the stuff that's been completed on a different page so it's not muddying the waters there. Okay. And then we did have some tree damage in the parks from the snow. The cottonwoods right in the middle of Spencer and the old, basically was like the janitor's lake. I forget the name of the janitor, Lou or somebody. Right there at Spencer in the back, there's a cluster of cottonwoods. A number of those broke and fell. And so tomorrow when I talk to Tim, we're going to game plan how to get those cut up and out of there. And then the floors at Anderson Park are complete. Guys have been working on putting the fixtures all back, and they're working on when you walk into where you take a shower, there's like a little seat there. And they're sanding and oiling that as we speak, and then they're going to install that back in there. There was some weird kind of temperature, humidity, surfactant kind of bubbling where the surfactant kind of comes to the surface of the paint and then goes down the wall. I don't know if you've ever had that happen at your own house, but it has to do with humidity and temperature. So on the exterior wall of the men's and women's showers, the white paint ran, the surfactant. So it's like almost like a white haze looking drip. We're not going to be able to fix that until we get some warmer weather. So if anyone says there's drip marks in there, it's because they painted it. It was all looked great. They left for the night. They came back in the morning and the surfactant, what carries the paint, came to the surface with a kind of white glaze and then dripped down on some of the gray paint. So Mitch and Tim will be fixing that when we get warmer weather, so we won't have any. But other than that, it looks dynamite. It looks really nice and clean and fresh in there. And then we'll also be working on the doors when the weather gets. So they went around every vent, and wherever there was rust or anything happening to the mesh in the vent, they coated that and cleaned it up and then coated it with rust sealant paint. And then they'll be doing that treatment on the doors when it's warmer.
I drove through the park, I don't know, during a snowstorm sometime when I got the Jeep dug out and just kind of cruised through the park to see if we had any tree issues. And I ran into Bob down there and boy, he was pleased. I said, everything okay? Yeah, everything's good. He goes, boy, and the bathroom floors look very professional. And he was really pleased with the quality of it and stuff. So I haven't seen it myself. I didn't walk in yet, but sounds like it's hopefully going to be real nice for 20 years. So
yeah,
it's good to get that going forward.
And our park's almost full. I couldn't believe it. I drove down there the other day and just about every space is full. I couldn't believe it.
Just got a lot of workers down there.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. No one else wants to camp at that time.
Has the policy changed there at all? Because I thought I heard something about we changed policy. We don't have to have work notes now, or is it?
No, we still
do.
Okay.
in the summer, the amount of work, extended stay workers sites shrinks because we have a number of families that repeatedly come every year for family reunions and things. So the number of sites she has in the summer when it's high camping time shrinks down to maybe the less desirable spots and on the other side of the park. That's the only change.
So hypothetically, if somebody, a citizen that lives here in Vernonia wanted to pull their trailer down there and live for 4 months, but they didn't have a work requirement, that's a no-go?
Yeah.
It's a no-go. We don't do month to month.
Okay.
You have to have a note from your supervisor, an end date, start date of a job, sign that you'll leave during the heavy use times, Jamboree weekend, 4th of July weekend, because we already have those fully booked out, usually a year in advance. So when they move in, they sign a thing saying, I agree to vacate for 3 days and then come back.
That kind of situation, they could go to Riverside, I guess, and
Yeah, a lot of them just either pull it up to job site or go to Big Eddy or go to their friends. If they have a friend in town, they park it in their driveway for 3 days and then pull it back down there.
okay, because before we come to the meeting, I kind of made a list of a bunch of little projects. I know one of them is Anderson Park stuff, upgrading and the 50 amp and all that. I don't know if we're going to have any money left over, but is that something we start talking about next year's chunk pretty soon or?
Yeah, so you mean for budgeting?
Yeah, the 200 or another 256,000 or whatever coming in the fiscal year after this, isn't it?
Yeah, so it'll come after July 1 of 2021. The next 259,000
Or
or,
will we start talking about what projects we're going to do for that?
well,
That's what these are. I mean, the criteria is going to be the same.
yeah, so we'd have to figure out how we could make that amperage
I don't know if that works.
upgrade match their criteria, which may not. If we were going to do like sewer upgrades in the park, maybe you could use it. So we'd have to tweak it and figure out if that even could be used.
So do we have a running total of the amount spent so far? I know we have like 80K or something for this weed, and then we got 3 or 4K for the bathroom so far at the shower. Is that all? And plus 10K we gave away.
Yeah, we can bring you that list with the cost estimates,
We haven't,
what remains.
we haven't answered Habitat for Humanity because we're still waiting on Ruben.
Well, so Habitat, that one's a harder one because it meets none of the criteria. Other than that group's issue with the cost of building materials. Which I don't know that we can blame on COVID so much as supply and demand, right? I mean, down the line, you could blame it, or up the line, you could blame it on COVID because the people aren't in the lumber mills or they're out, or the employment workforce that makes the timber maybe is, but it didn't fit as well in the criteria. And we could have Ruben send us a letter stating that. But the SDCs, she wanted us to forgive SDCs, which was going to be an immediate no-go because of the equality of charging everyone the same.
Okay, so that issue aside, so we're only really committed to like 84,000 so far?
No, because you got 10,
10, 80.
5, 7, and 80. And then you guys, I want to say it's like 2 or 3 for the manhole stuff.
We had cameras in there too. We added in money, extra money for the truck, right?
Those don't,
That's in the budget.
that's in the budget.
So I think we're like at 105-ish. Don't quote me on it, but I think we're like at 105-ish in already allocated funds. So you had the 10 for business for Columbia Economic Team. The backup to the shower project, which I think is 5. I'm not, don't quote me. Huh?
How does that one fit?
The cleanliness and the COVID, keeping everything up to whatever. The 7 for the Blue House outdoor seating and increasing the capacity for people to eat outdoors, 80. And then I think it's 3 for manholes, but I'm not promising. So I think it's around 105.
We're gonna get to 500. Is that what the total was?
506 or 507 total. So it's like 250 something, 256 or something.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep it straight in my own mind.
So yeah. But we're happy to, when we bring you those cost estimates, to list out the other things that are allocated and the total.
I think that'd be helpful.
Is that it, Josette?
That's what I have, unless anyone has any other questions. I'm looking at Counselor Webb. You got other questions? Oh, he does.
The
Hey, Counselor Webb.
senior center sound boards, did we get those installed yet?
We did not, because Mitch was worried when I was gone to do it without my approval or something.
Make sure you got them in the right
He
place.
wants to make sure he does it how I think it's being done, I guess. So
Okay.
not yet.
Didn't we get a design layout from that company? Isn't that kind of how that works, or?
Yeah, we did. And that's what was ordered, but from them. And then we have a couple that are going above the openings into the dining room. So they kind of match the same baffle hanging in front, the two sides and the back. And then the dining room at the senior center side has ones above the exits to the windows. And then if need be, we'll order another one that will go above the kitchen door from the hallway. But we're going to test and see if the ones we think will work. And then their other advice is if it still comes out into the dining room, if you kind of solved that, yeah, it's as loud as the kitchen should be, but it still comes out in the dining room. I've already talked to Toby about picking out some of the art pieces because they make a acoustic panel that's wrapped like an art piece of art, and that we would be putting a couple of those in the dining room because it's so hard surface out there. The sound, even just from the seniors talking, bounces around, even though the whole entire lighting structure above it is covered in acoustic paneling. The lights hang from acoustic paneling in the dining room right now. But those hard walls and the hard table surfaces could potentially still have the problem. And it doesn't help that a lot of the seniors are using hearing aids, which also have kind of their own echoing in that sound. So we're going to try and do the best we can for them.
Okay, yeah, I just seen in your last report, you thought you were gonna get them, but I anticipated the restrooms were probably taking priority again, and so we'll get
Yeah.
there.
Yep. Is that all, Dale?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Josette.
Yep.
Items from the mayor and councilors. I don't have anything other than,
I do.
go ahead.
I thought the city crew did pretty darn good at the snow
Yep.
effort this year. I happened to be driving around. I seen the little dump truck chained up. I know I talked to Jeff briefly. He said he even plowed on Sunday and Monday, I think. Saw a couple of guys shoveling sidewalks more than one day. So pass that along that I think myself and I'm sure a lot of citizens were appreciative of the plowing that happened. Only thing I was curious about was, I know some people are sliding down some roads. Do we still sand at all?
We do. And he did drop sand in a few places. I meant to talk to him about, because I don't think it's on his radar, but Knox was particularly funky.
Yeah.
I drove up to pick up my daughter and I was like, oh, I have studs, so I wasn't scared. But I'm like, if I was in a regular car, I probably wouldn't come down.
Yeah, they slide down my hill too once it gets packed and
Yeah.
sometimes a little rain on it. And they don't quite make it all the way, then they kind of, I don't know. I mean, 2 or 3 anyway, slipping and sliding backwards. But
Yeah, and it's so hard to know too, depending on what the weather event's going to be. If it snows and you put down sand and then it snows on top of it, where some sort of, like on the eastern side of the mountain, they put cinder, which kind of the dark color works its way, kind of keeps it there as a useful abrasive longer than a sand. But yeah, it's hard to know. But I was thinking that, and I did put in a work order. I was watching a kid walk across the gray bridge on the sidewalk. It is like a sheet of ice. I was like, we gotta get something on that in the morning. We don't need someone taking a dive there. I mean, it's ODOT's bridge, but they're not gonna probably come and put anything on that. But the rest of the area is all melted off, but that area was just sheet of ice.
yeah, I think I'm glad to see the snow go away.
Yeah,
It's snowing a lot tonight, so
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't come back.
I did call Don Hummel that has done a lot of voluntary plowing with his red pickup and plow. And I called him and thanked him for what he's done for our community and said that we sure appreciate it. And so it was good to talk to him, and I'm anxious to meet him actually. Well, actually I did meet him. Kind of, he was helping another person get out of the ditch across from the lake, but real nice fella. And this is his second year doing it for our community. So,
Yeah, I've seen that truck.
so. Yeah, I too thought that the city did a good job. And we got a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the council?
I did see, I was not impressed with this Fibercom putting in the fiber line. There at my shop, they cut the limbs out of the tree and left them in the road.
Do you know what the company was that was on the side of the truck? Because both Blue Mountain and Zipley are simultaneously putting fiber in right now.
Fibercom,
Oh, was
Name
it
on
on the truck? Okay, I can decipher who it was from that.
and then the security guard at the bus barn said they ate their lunch and threw their trash out on the ground.
That same crew?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the corner of Knox Street and the bus barn, there's one barricade there, but they went around it and chewed up the grass.
Yeah.
For 2 days, they were driving around that barricade through the grass, through the bus barn parking lot.
And where's the grass?
So where Knox Street hits 47, there's grass right there.
Right to the left of our parking lot.
So
There's a grass strip.
Off of 47, head up Knox Street on the left, there's a culvert and it's covered with dirt and there's grass there.
Oh, in front of that manufactured home?
No, clear back right at 47.
Oh, okay.
Knox Street.
I didn't know the ditch was covered at that point.
Yes, there's
Okay.
a culvert a couple 100 feet up from 47. And then there's the big ditch and they were driving across there and chewed up.
Yeah. Plus, I saw them the other day, a bucket truck with the bucket up in the air and the driver in the pickup and a guy not harnessed or anything. I mean, if OSHA would have saw that.
Yeah.
In movement and doing their work along the line, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Some of that's when they're wrapping the line and I don't know where the guidelines are on that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But they've been driving around with people in the bucket.
Yeah.
In the air.
Right.
It's a big no-no, I think. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Anyway. Anything else? Dale?
Oh, not really. I did see there, I was down there in California today, walked over and got that water off the highway that was, the state put those dang sediment bags in there and pushed all the water across the pavement. I put a little ditch alongside them, got it going down the ditch. But I noticed they're hanging all those big fiber optics in there. And that last pole right there on California, man, it's got a big bow in it. I'm not too sure that's all going to be on the ground one of these mornings. But that's their business, I guess. It doesn't, as long as they aren't harming the public.
Speaking of telephone poles, there's one hanging from the lines. Or somebody run into it or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they cut it because it was just dangling there. The weight of it was pulling the line down, so they cut it. But I think it's been redone, right? I drove by with
they put a new one in. Did that get hit or did that just go down from weight?
I'm not sure. I only saw it after it was cut to the shorter length.
I think the first night.
It got hit. Rick thinks it got hit.
In the snow.
Yeah.
It got hit.
Oh. Connor says it got hit.
Yep. Somebody broke the fishing pole off the,
I saw that.
so it's hard to keep things nice.
Put bamboo with rebar in it.
Yeah, possibly. I have another pole I could put. And I ordered a 95-foot string of solar lights to go from the pole to the fish. And I ordered it 2 months ago and it just came the other day. So I'm going to try to.
Next year.
Well,
Or even summer.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I'm going to try to fix, I've got another pole. So
All right.
see if we can't fix that. So if there's nothing else, we could move right into action item summary.
Okay. So I have that we're going to get the cost estimates, the amount given, and then the amount already expended to you guys for your next meeting for the 3 projects you identified. We're okay to move forward with cost estimating. We'll immediately be contacting Robert and working on the Weller issue for emergency fix. Contacting the city of Longview in relation to that. And then contacting per Counselor Webb's request to see if the section of the ARPA money can be used for damages from COVID loss, losing the SCA application year because we were stalled with ODOT not having staffing in there. And then investigate Fibercom. Who do you work for? And what are you doing? Putting debris, cutting branches and leaving them on the ground and damaging the grass. That's what I got.
And the next meeting is a workshop at 6:30 on a week from tonight.
Monday, the 11th.
Here is until further notice, it'll be here.
Yeah.
Hope you feel better, Dale.
I thought the next meeting was the review.
It's a quarterly review. It's not really a formal review because we're trying to get away from that, but it's like, what's working for me? What's working for you guys? What's not working for us?
Okay,
So
that's considered a workshop. And then we also have the workshop on the.
it's a workshop and executive session. So yes.
It'll be your first executive session.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you feel better, Dale.
Oh, I'm actually feeling fine, but just in abundance of caution, I didn't want to be there
Understand.
calling on everybody. So,
Yeah, understand.
Thank you.
What does council think about getting together, on a look for ourselves? The sewer situation. I'm free Saturday or Friday, so I just throw it out there.
I would like to go, but my schedule is a little tricky, so I don't want to hold it up. I could do Friday after 3:15.
Okay,
I would be open for whatever time you schedule, I'll make work.
I could, Friday would work for me at 4 o'clock. I get off the bus barn.
don't know if it'd work for the people involved, but
What?
I can call Dennis and say council would like to do a visit it.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to turn
I
this
would do
away.
Saturday also, if that helps.
Yeah.
I can't make Saturday.
okay.
I don't want to hold it up. So, well,
I can call Mr.
I could
Weller.
do Saturday if it was early, like 8.
Probably, probably Saturday would be better because the boys work logging
Okay.
a week, I imagine, so.
So contact them and see if Saturday, what time works?
I'm good with whatever. The mayor can let me know.
Okay.
Just work it out. I'm
I'll probably just send you guys all an email saying this is when he's expecting.
Okay.
not working.
So what time do you think?
10 a.m.?
Does that work?
I won't make that. but that's okay. I don't want to hold it up.
So 10 a.m.? You're all available?
Yeah. Dale, does that work for you?
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay, one other last, and I'm channeling my inner Stephanie.
Yeah.
When you do visit, anything you say can be used as like against the city. So make sure that you're not like accidentally too understanding or any liability, culpability type thing, because I'm probably not coming because I've seen it. I have tons of pictures and I'm working on it. So just a little heads up, trying to channel my inner Stephanie. She would be telling you guys to be ultra careful because,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lawsuit between Dennis and the city at the time that whole thing happened. So, yeah. Which didn't.
And it sounds like
wasn't a winner for anyone.
And it sounds like DEQ is going to be involved in it too right now, so.
Yeah, so they'll do findings and
Yeah.
What about Robert, our engineer?
probably not going to get him on a Saturday, but he already he's the one doing the springboard engineering, so he already knows what all the problems are and all of this is part of that project.
Would it be helpful for him to be there to inform council what they're looking at though?
I don't know that we can get him on a Saturday. I mean, I could ask him. I don't know.
Well, thank you for the heads up and we'll certainly be
Okay.
just going to be
Yeah, we'll notice it so that,
An informative type look, see what's going on.
We're just on a fact-finding mission.
Yeah.
It's hard to visualize sometimes when you're not actually out there. There's the problem right there,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
And
Clean out.
we might even check to see if Friday might work during the day too. Yeah.
I'm open for both.
Yeah.
So ask him if 4 on Friday or 10 a.m. on Saturday works better for him, is what he says.
Yep.
Can you ask, just a note, something I thought, can you ask Robert about plugging the holes in manholes? Because to me, that's a vent, just like a vent to let air out in your plumbing system at home. I'm worried if you plug those holes and you get a surge of water coming down, it's got to push all that air out somewhere. So if you plug all the holes to the manholes, where does it vent?
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I almost think in most of them that I've seen, they don't plug every hole.
Yeah.
They do in the low lying ones that are acting like a catch basin, but let me check with
We're
Robert.
talking about plugging those to keep the water from going in there, but we also talk about getting rings and lift them up higher than the road adjacent, so it doesn't become a funnel, right?
Right. One or the other will be the fix, or both, depending on the situation we're looking at. But in most of the plug kits I've seen, they're not plugging every hole. They're plugging the majority of them, but they leave like 2 opposite this way or 2 opposite open this way, because you want something to poke a crowbar into
I
too.
want to make sure we weren't creating a pressure problem.
Sure,
down,
like a vacuum or, yeah,
because the pressure's got to go somewhere.
we don't need a flying metal disc.
I'm talking about water shooting with air. Right?
I'm thinking the water's fine. It's when the disc comes down that's the problem. Yeah,
You know, a manhole lid or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the movies, right?
Remember that problem we had down by the lake last year? How did we remedy that when we fixed that?
We put a riser in.
Oh,
So that's what JR is talking about. Some of them are so concave that they really need that top riser to be removed, put a taller riser in, seal it, right? Set it in there and then have the lid.
Were you talking about the manhole that was shooting
yeah.
out? No, that was a backflow valve.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
talking
we
about
put a new valve in.
Oh, I thought you were talking about,
down by the apartments right on the river, by the lake.
oh yeah, sorry.
Chinese place. There was
Yeah,
a manhole shooting out in the wintertime.
yeah. That,
I think that one got installed, if I remember right.
yeah, so sorry, I was confused at what the mayor was talking about with the riser, because we did fix one down there by the elevated riser. You're talking about the backflow.
Yes. And so that's been repaired.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The clean out caps, we got some of them, or do people come and got them, or?
No, so in part of that investigation of the manhole lids and which styles we were doing and everything was those clean out lids for what size are they? What type of, because some of them, they're all different, right? Because we're not putting them in, the homeowner's putting them in. So some people it's 4-inch pipe, some people it's 3-inch pipe. So that whole list has not been developed for me to order them yet. That's what the guys were doing. And then we get snow, so they're not.
And nobody's contacted me about my issue either.
No, and the issues for the broken cleanouts are with not just the missing lid. Remember, that's you guys had determined, I believe, 18 months is what you were going to allow people to fix those broken ones that we saw.
Next October.
Yeah.
At my place, there's a manhole's like 8 feet away. I'm thinking it's gopher holes from the manhole leaking, and it just travels through the gopher holes. But that's where it was coming out, was all the gopher holes.
Yeah, so ahead of the notifying homeowners, that's part of that manhole kind of grading, because if we have somebody that's got a broken clean out or a broken lateral next to a manhole that's corroding and breaking, we're probably going to fix our issue first and then have them fix their issue, because you wouldn't want to do it the other way. And it is something like the gopher hole.
I just need the city to scope and verify that they unhooked my lateral, like they said when they installed it. If it's unhooked, there's nothing there.
Yeah, I don't. That's a whole different project
Yeah.
than what's in my brain right now.
Okay, there's nothing else. I'll adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned at 9:05 PM. Meeting adjourned.
Made it 2 hours anyway.
Yeah.